So that was Broodlord. I am going to go into one more fight, which is Firemoss. This is the first 4 bosses. Here we had a lot of disparity amongst the hunters. So we can see I'm up here and Seijo and Adeline are here, which is, a significant drop in difference. And we can see that my parse here in relation to all the hunters, again, is high, and theirs are quite low. And so this tells me that either, again, I got stupidly lucky, or I'm doing things that they are not. And I can see right here, this DPS as a hunter, this is my pet. I can tell right away that they don't have pets during this fight. And the pet micromanagement for this fight is a bitch, so I don't blame them. But if they use their pet, clearly their DPS might go up to here and they'll be at a much higher level than otherwise they would be. And of course, these eye level percentages, if you're not aware of these, this is kind of a more accurate representation of your DPS in relation to your other hunters. So this is me in relation to all hunters. This is me in relation to other hunters that have my gear level. So this is much, much more accurate. But again, when I go on to look at my hunters over here for this fight, their eye level is still super low. So that means that I need to have a conversation with them about, what's going on that fight that's making it really hard. Did you die? What's going on? And so when I go on to look at the actual deaths, I can see, did my hunters die? And the answer is no. In fact, I was the one that died on that fight. I died at the very end, but I died. So now I see, okay, there's something that really has to go on for that fight where they can grow. Again, maybe they had an off night, but maybe they didn't. So I'm going to go back to the damage done, and as ever, I'm going to look at those key abilities that the hunters are using and how are we doing. And I can see right off the bat that this is the number of auto shots that I'm getting off, or that we're all getting off, and I am way above them. And so that means that I am out taking my shots much more often. That might mean that it is something that's mechanical, such as I am making sure I'm getting an auto shot off before I go on to use another ability, which is a great way to get more auto shots as a hunter. It might mean that I'm standing in more damage, which is something I can go on to look at. Whatever it be, clearly this is something that is a huge difference between me and the other hunters here. Again, crit percent don't care, DPS don't care, but just the number of casts is super important. When I go on to look at something like aim shot, I can see immediately they are having way more aim shots than I am, especially Adeline over here. And so that means that Adeline is missing out on a lot of auto shots because he's going on to cast these aim shots. And Firewall has this periodic damage that again gives pushback. And so this shot really drags out your shots and makes it so you have a much harder time actually doing significant damage. So I do not use many aim shots. If I'm using a protection potion or haste, that's when I tend to step up. Again, Seijo is in the middle here, but clearly he's not casting as many either. Instead, I am using Arcane Shot quite a bit. Again, it's stupidly low damage, but I'd rather get more of those auto shots off, plus some basically free damage. And you can see Seijo starting to do that as well. So overall, that is changing. That's a game changer in our DPS, is that I'm getting way more auto shots off. I'm not having a ton of pushback on my aim shots. And of course, we can go on to look at other things. Again, what is the number of multi-shots? Are we actually using Serpent Sting? Who's the loser over here that's casting all these Serpent Stings? Well, Adagni. I need to go on and talk to him and say, what the hell, man? You shouldn't be using this spell. It's awful. And yet here I am. So on that note, I only use it when we have 12 or fewer debuffs. But anyways, it still allows me, again, to have that level of transparency. And that's so helpful for me in leading the class and leading the group. So that's it basically for this discussion with this particular parse. I did want to go on to say that something else I find very effective is being able to compare my past parses with my current. So if I go on to look at something like Razor Gore, for example, I can go on to specifically look at how did I do, and then how do I compare, such as from over here, to myself from previous fights. And again, you can search for parses similar to yours using these, or I can put in a manual parse by actually going on to input a URL from a previous parse where I have, again, done Razor Gore. Why was it in one of those Razor Gore fights I was doing so well or so horribly? And this lets me do a step-by-step comparison with myself to up my game. So this is just walking through generally how these parses work, why I find them so helpful in leading the class.